Hey guys, Kuma here. And don't mind the background noise. As an air conditioner I'm running to keep my room cool. I finally have one for my room, so now I can close my door and actually breathe in this walk-in closet I call a bedroom to use my videos in. So if you hear it, even post-editing, I try to isolate my voice and everything. I'm sorry for the advance, but let's get into it. The thing I want to talk about today is SAG-AFTRA and how pointless it was ultimately. I know what you're saying, guys. I know what you're thinking. What? SAG-AFTRA wasn't that pointless. It had a good point. But following this thing for almost a year now, and just how that it just became so minute is sad. Seeing that it used to be about protection of AI, stopping companies from stealing your voice and using it more for other reasons. It used to have a purpose. It used to be a purpose, and now it's just... God, it's just hollow by thy name. I mean, after all, look at the aforementioned Genjin side of it. Hoo boy. I just want to say this in advance, but SAG-AFTRA, at least on the western side of it, has effectively blackballed any English VAs that wasn't directly glazing SAG-AFTRA. I mean, all the ones who are basically just stronged arm and pretty much held at gunpoint to join it begrudgingly, they get off my books easily. I realize, they had to do this. It was that or be like Jacob Takanashi and get pretty much be pocket watch and threatened they get shoved off, But, oh boy, for the ones who willingly joined it, I'm hoping that A, you didn't know how bad this was gonna be, and B, hopefully that you did knew. I hope that you knew that this was a lost cause and you should have knew fucking better than join the SAG-AFTRA strike. I mean, come on. I feel like this is just fluff. It exists to stop AI protections. I mean, half the unions that were here, both in the states, overseas and offshore, pretty much have things in place for that, because again, as greedy as corporations be, at least they have some souls to realize that, hey, maybe we should not try to replicate our talents and voices like we're fucking Arasaka from Cyberpunk 2077. We're not that evil. This ain't Blade Runner type of shit. At least they offer us some respect. But SAG-AFTRA, in a way, it's just like, no, fuck that. We're just gonna just do our own thing and just force people to get into it so we can stop AI protection and also unionize Genjin as a whole, along with Hoyoverse, even though they're not even on US soil, which is doing them more favors than they should. Thankfully they're not on our soil, on our playing field, because if they were, they'll probably be submitting to our will. Well, a question. Oh boy. But then as time went on, as we learned more about what SAG-AFTRA truly was, it's just a shame that we knew that it was just a fucking like Trojan horse. In reality, for those who may have kept up with it or haven't, it's just essentially it was just trying to force companies like Hoyo into a union. And for VA sides of it, from how I interpret it, which is pretty much trying to make a freaking VIP club where only the best of the best could get in, or anyone with the good enough connections could get in. So like Genshin Impact, if you don't want, like, say Vic Mignogna to come in, if this whole little plan would have worked, they could have been like, no, Vic Mignogna, fuck you, you don't get the voice Genshin Impact character, shove off. But they could have someone like, say, like Jennifer Hale or any other conveniently bad VA that I'm aware or not aware of, or the guy who's the voice Tanari, the one who was exposed for grooming, manipulating, and all that kind of shit. They have him back. Like, I'm over like analyzing it and / overly simplifying it, but basically it's just they want to control everything because the English VAs, well, a good chunk of them believe that their shit don't stink. In all respectfulness, but in reality they're just as human and just as flawed as the next person downstairs, the person across the street. Being a voice actor doesn't mean you are top dollar big baller, okay? You're just a step higher than your average actually you're a step below your average US celebrity, except that you're not either A, groomed, B, a sex addict or sex pest like Jew Warrior, or C, at least coked up like you're just a fiend, okay? At least you're somewhat better. Well, man, I can't say that for, I mean, the last 3 examples I just popped out are not exactly the best ones, because unfortunately half of the VAs fall into that kind of controversy. But the problem with the VAs now, at least on the Western side, I'm not, and this is me taking shots at it, you know, because let's be honest, me having a VA career is pretty much is a pipe dream. And after all these YouTube videos I be talking about VAs, I'm pretty sure Funimation or whoever is still making a union VA or rather see me be shot in a naked alley than actually get work. You know, it's just half of these English VAs are, to me, in my vision, are chronically online. They're like the average Twitter user, the average 4chaner, your least aggressive Discord moderator. The whole shit with like Karina and Kaylee and all these other English VAs that be talking all their shit and talking all this crap and doing all this weirdness. Like, you guys are so chronically online. I was keeping with all the controversy with SAG-AFTRA and, you know, other V2, like other like VA drama. And I'm just thinking, bro, get your head out your ass. Yeah, you voice a character in a game that is really popular. Wow. Stop sucking yourself for 5 minutes. Wow. You want a trophy? Do you want to be glazed, my lord? Want to be kissed, my lord? I have never seen such ego with voice actors. Such just this feeling of like, I voice, like, say, Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Playing a character is an honor. I understand that. Hell, if I got an email saying that I get to voice a Genshin Impact character or some character from an anime or show that I like, or hell, even something from like a web series, like say Ruby, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be grateful I get the chance to do that. I'd be honored to be a voiceover for a character. I'll put my heart and soul in everything. Maybe this is coming from the opinions of a guy who grew up who was born in the 19s to the late 2000s, early 2000s, I meant, and just lived through life on Newgrounds and YouTube and seeing voice actors, both old and new, actually give a shit about their jobs and cared about what they voice, and it was an honor to play a character and not feel like that you voice a character, you have to glaze me, you know. And it's like, where's this ego coming from? I get your work, I understand, I won't discredit them. You have a good portfolio, your work backs your claims up and backs your shit up. I can say that honestly, respectfully. But again, get your head out your ass, my good sir. You know, ain't no one gonna care about that. Hell, half the time being a voiceover is just being a great hire than being your average commercial narrator, or just being some guy on a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel. You're not no recognizable celebrity. You're just a VO. Oh god, everything I say in this video is pretty much effectively blackballing me in the future. I'll never become anything of a VO dream. Oh, I'll be a YouTuber. But my ramblings aside, what makes it crazy is that Karina and Kaylee got replaced in Genshin as, you know, from Kurchi and Paimon. I mean, I guess it was honestly well deserved, because out of any VA that was on Twitter talking about the whole SAG-AFTRA thing, that includes Candace, a relatively niche character as it is in the game as a whole. You know, Karina and Kaylee were prominent figures, both in and out of Genshin Impact. They had some good lineups, especially Kaylee, who was still currently scabbing from what I'm seeing. She was still working mid SAG-AFTRA strike as Rappy from Goddess of Victory Nikke, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it. And ironically, she was still working despite doing this whole protection against AI shit. And it's just like, I don't know, bro. I don't think you practice what you preach. You can say that it's still just for work, but I'm sorry. If you're going down with the ship, fucking die with the ship, you know? Don't just try to instill this whole bullshit and then still work as if you're not on the side of, yeah, I want all of this to happen now. And I was like, no, we don't play that game here. When they see me checking Twitter, Reddit, you know, everything all over the place, everyone's pretty happy that they got replaced. Everyone's just enjoying it. It's good. And I'm happy for it. I'm happy that there's some level of justice. There's just some level of, you know, boom, we have peace in the world. Thankfully, Hoyoverse is not afraid to kick a bitch out over the littlest of things. The aforementioned, like, what? Tanari's VA and their VA got booted out. Well, Tanari's a whole different case. That was actually fucking horrifying. But, you know, okay. To get my thoughts back together, how I feel about this, truly, is that the fact that this is a precedence on the western side of the VA community, not on the VA side of the world. This sets a terrible precedence. This just shows that no one from anywhere across the world wants to work with shitbags and douchebags English VAs. They don't want to work with us. Anything Wuthering Waves has like people that you don't even fucking recognize, 'cause they're clearly out of source people. Any gacha game that wasn't made here on US soil or just ported over will have English VAs that are not recognizable. And frankly, I don't blame them. This whole SAG-AFTRA strike and the English VA's terrible behavior, both during, after, and before this shit happens, just shows that no one wants us to work with them. They're tired of ego. They're tired of dealing with bullshit. They're tired of toxic like VAs who consistently pocket watch other content creators, or, you know, pocket watch other VAs, bully them, shit talk them, defame them. I mean, again, beating the dead horse. The whole Vic Mignogna thing as a whole was a complete shit show that shouldn't have not involved any of the VAs that were pointing the gun at him, metaphorically. And even worse, how blatantly vagrant they still had no accountability for. And that's the problem in my case. For up and coming people who want to be in this industry, who believe they can make the right choices in all of this, it won't matter. No one will hire anyone from this side, because all they're going to see is the same incidents repeating. VAs being, VAs getting too big for their pants when they realize they hit the top of the world, and then they do stupid shit and they think they're better than everybody. I believe in the future it's going to get to the point where the Western world of voiceovers will be completely just blackball entirely. Animes, games, gacha games, visual novels, animation adaptations, everything like that will just be eventually blacklisted. It will be, because at this point companies will rather outsource their work, outside of our soil, and find people who are not dickbags online, or are so terminally chronically online that their internet is their personality. And I'm scared for that kind of outcome. Despite how I talk, I actually do like my English VAs a lot. I do care. I do listen to them, even going back to watch old animes. I know I said some shit about Monica Rial and some of the old ones that have all with Vic Mignogna and all that, but I still like their work. Because unlike people, I could separate the voice actor from their work. Yeah, they may voice a character in Freezing or High School DxD or Shuffle or any kind of scare 2000s popular and yet unpopular, cringy anime I watched back then till now. I had not pulled up any good examples. That was all just borderline softcore ecchi. But point being, I could separate their work from their controversies and still see that at one point they used to be somebody. They used to be a person that you could look up to, but now half of these VAs are just nothing but just shells, mouthpieces for causes that they don't even fucking believe in. They only believe what makes their pockets bigger, which gets them noticed better. And I'm saying, for those who are like this, take a step back, accept responsibility, accountability. Remember that you work for passion, for love. Being a VA isn't just trying to be in the big wigs, staying in the big leagues. Voicing a character should be an honor, a blessing. It should be a privilege to voice a character. It shouldn't just be another job, you know? This ain't your regular 9 to 5 at the Walmart. At least that's what I believe in. At least that's how I perceive voice work. Not every character I will eventually voice one day will just not be a job I have to do. It'll be a character I'm putting heart, mind, and soul into. And that's why I think the English VAs are missing. Heart, passion, purpose, a soul for half of these characters they voice. You know? Maybe it's just overly thinking. My brain does run a million miles per hour when it comes to talking about topics like this. But maybe I just expect more. Maybe I hope more. Maybe I wish more. And hope that when the future comes and the world burns to ashes and the English VA community eventually will get disbanded and destroyed, which will leave all our overseas competition to rule everything. I just hope that we could try to prevent this and put real people in the VA seats, people who care, and people who could definitely stay out of controversies and stay off of Twitter and stay off Blue Sky, Discord, 4chan. You know, stop being a general locale, because, you know, if you believe that you are a celebrity for being a voiceover, you should at least try to remain neutrally biased, you know, neutrally unbiased as you can, and not get yourself into trouble. If you can't, then this profession, you shouldn't be in it. But that's gonna be it for today, my good folks. I just want to say my little mouthpiece about SAG-AFTRA and just talk about it. Like I said earlier in today's video, that again, if you heard any noise in the background, that was just most likely from the air conditioner, and I'm sure you get that all worked out soon enough. But you know, until next time, I've been your lovely host, the most. Until the next video, I happily and willfully bid you adieu.